Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook News. Before we begin, allow me to ask one simple question. Since when did outsiders start believing they understand Korean culture better than Koreans themselves? Every time the conversation turns to Jimin and Jungkook, the same phrases are repeated like a sacred mantra. It's culture. In Korea, friends are just like that. It's not romantic. These statements are delivered with absolute certainty, as if they are beyond question. Yet there is one pattern that is far too obvious to ignore. That certainty collapses the moment native Koreans, those who live and grew up within that culture, say, "No, that's not normal between friends." Instead of pausing to listen, the reaction becomes defensive. Korean opinions are dismissed as invalid, exaggerated, or even accused of being influenced by fandom. This leads to an unavoidable question. Why is the word culture only respected when it supports a preferred narrative, but immediately discarded when it challenges personal comfort? Today, we are not going to speculate, nor are we going to assign labels. We are simply going to examine patterns, facts, and contradictions, and look at why the argument "it's just culture" is not as simple as it is often claimed to be. This is not about a single disagreement. It is a long-standing pattern within fandom. A pattern where people who are not Korean, who did not grow up in Korea, do not live within Korean social norms, and do not experience relationship dynamics there, feel confident enough to explain how Korean friendships are supposed to work. More than that, this claim is used as a weapon to invalidate any interpretation of Jimin and Jungkook that does not align with their narrative. What is particularly interesting is how selectively this cultural argument is applied. It is not used for all members, not for all interactions, and not for every form of closeness within the group. It appears consistently only when discussing Jimin and Jungkook. That fact alone speaks volumes. If this behavior were truly common, ordinary, and representative of all friends in Korea, we would see the same pattern with equal intensity and consistency across other relationships. But we don't. This is not about fandom preference. It is about basic observation. Jungkook does not treat everyone the same way he treats Jimin. Not with the same frequency, not with the same intensity, not with the same kind of touch, and not with the same gentleness. That difference matters. We are not talking about an idol who is simply affectionate in general, but about a dynamic that is specific, consistent, and striking. When we look at concrete actions, the cultural argument begins to lose its footing. Jungkook feeds Jimin, watches him quietly but constantly, and takes care of him through small, tender gestures, soft touches that are careful and attentive. These actions are not rough, exaggerated, or performed for the camera. What we see instead is intimacy that flows naturally, attention that appears even in moments when others seem unaware of anything at all. This kind of attentiveness is not accidental or an empty reflex. It is emotional attention. Yet there are still those who insist that all of this is completely normal in Korean friendships. At the same time, Koreans themselves repeatedly explain that while physical contact does exist among friends, it is not expressed in such a constant and intimate way that crosses personal boundaries. Certain gestures, especially soft caresses and prolonged closeness, are culturally more often associated with romantic relationships. The clearest example is the ear incident. Jungkook sucking on Jimin's ear is not something that can simply be erased with the excuse of friends joking around. Even outside Korea, this gesture carries a very clear connotation. When Koreans themselves state that this is not common between friends, the cultural argument that was once celebrated suddenly no longer applies. The question then becomes simple: which is actually being believed, culture or a comfortable narrative? This is also not about one isolated moment taken out of context. It is about accumulation. These actions repeat over time. They do not disappear, they are not confined to a single era, and they do not feel awkward or forced. On the contrary, they appear automatic, natural, and almost effortless. Even some Korean YouTubers who are not part of international fandom spaces have pointed out that Jimin and Jungkook's dynamic resembles that of an established couple. Not because of dramatization, but because of how natural their care, closeness, and mutual trust appear. It is the kind of connection that does not need to be showcased because it already exists. What truly unsettles some people is not the fact that Jimin and Jungkook are close. That is already accepted. What feels uncomfortable is acknowledging that this closeness does not fully fit into the box of just friends, even according to the culture they claim to defend. It is important to clarify one point. No one has ever said that Koreans have confirmed Jimin and Jungkook as a couple, boyfriends, or spouses. That has never happened. What has been stated is something far more specific and culturally meaningful, that their actions are not normal between friends in Korea. Not common, not typical, and not something seen every day. When Koreans speak about their own culture, their words carry weight. This is not fandom theory. It is the voice of people who understand unwritten social boundaries. That is why it feels so absurd, and honestly embarrassing, to watch foreign fans argue with Koreans about how Korean culture actually works. In the end, the issue is not a lack of information or cultural ignorance. It is denial. Denial of the fact that Jimin and Jungkook behave intimately and flirtatiously with each other, and that their bond resists being forced into the category of ordinary friendship. Regardless of labels, one thing cannot be denied. The Jikook dynamic is special, visible, consistent, and natural. When something that clear is constantly rejected, what looks unstable is not the reality, but the denial of it. Jimin and Jungkook are not trying to prove anything, nor are they playing roles. They are simply being themselves with each other. Sometimes, the most genuine connections are the ones that are never announced, because bodies, attention, and actions speak far louder than words. Thank you for watching Jikook News. If you believe that honest observation is always worth discussing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments with an open mind and without prejudice. See you in the next discussion.